Hello, and let's implement iteration number 5 to allow the user to edit and remove contacts. I added several contacts here before we start so we can see how we can remove them and edit them. The first thing is we need to add an edit button here so the user can click on the edit button and activate the editing feature. Because edit on an address book or on a table view is a very common process, there is a function to create that edit button and link it through code. The template for the from Xcode has that line there, and it is commented out, and it's included in the view.load. The second comment displaying the edit button in the navigation bar. The table view controller already comes with the navigation item, and it has the right and the left, but we already added the add button. We added the add button on the right bar, so we'll add the edit button on the left bar. So what we will do is uncomment this line in the view.load, and I am here in the address book table view controller, the one that manages the list. And instead of the right bar button item, I'm gonna make it the left bar button item and leave the self-edit button item like that. So this will go, and I think I'm gonna lose my contacts once we reinstall the application. Yep, because I did not save those to a file. Once we load the application, those contacts will be lost. Yep. So the next iteration is when we save everything to a file, so the contacts are not going to be lost. So here is the edit button, and if you click on the edit button, it gives you that option, and it switches to done. And when you click done, you come back and you no longer can and you go back to the original state. So that's the first step. The second step is to ensure that we can edit, which there are a lot of commented code in here. So one of them is if you want each row to check if each row can be edited or not. So some rows can be edited and some rows cannot be edited. You can use that function. We will uncomment the can edit row at index path and make it return true all the time, meaning that all rows can be edited. Then the next one is there is the commit editing style, which has already a built-in feature for the delete button. Then you have the move row and the can move row at index path. So we will comment out all of these. I will uncomment all of these. So we're working with the editing for now. So the editing, I don't need the insert, so I'm gonna remove the insert feature from here. So if editing style is delete, if the user selected to delete and it's giving you the row at index path, what we need to do is to delete the row at the index path that is provided, and with the animation. However, we want, before we do that from the table view, we want to also delete it from the data source. So we need to go to the contact data source, and we do not yet have a function to delete a contact. We have add a contact, retrieve a contact, get the count of contact. So we also need to add one to delete contact. So I'll say function delete or remove delete contact, and this will need to receive an index, and we'll say here that index, and it's an integer, and the function does not need to return anything. And what we will do is to remove the contacts from the list. So we go to the list and say remove, and you can remove an object by itself, or you can remove an object at index, which is the one we're going to use. Remove an object at index using the index that's provided. So if you want to remove an item from the array list, from the array that we had, the contacts, we can use that function. So now that we have a function in the data source that can remove a contact, we call that in the delete. So back to the address book, and before we remove the row, we need to remove it from the data source. So we say data source dot delete contact. We call it, what did we call it? It's probably not being realized yet. The delete contact at index. I saved delete contact at index. Here it is. And we pass to it the index, but we have an index path. The index path has the section number and the row number, so we want the row number here. So we delete the contact at index and then delete rows and index path. So let's test that. So we'll go and add a test row, a test contact, and delete it. So we'll add a test contact here. And save. Then click the edit. Here is the delete, and it goes away. And then we're done. So the edit activates the delete button, and then click on the delete, you get the delete button, and then you delete. You can also swipe to the right, which will bring you the delete button, and you can delete. So if we add another contact here, we can swipe to the right and click delete, and that deletes it with the fade, what you see in here, and it's also deleted from the data source. So that's the delete operation. So the next step is to do the move operation. So there are two other functions. The first one is to make each row movable, that every row will return true, that each row can be moved. And then the next one is what happens when you actually move the row. So we'll open that one, or uncomment this one. So when you move the row, what we need to do is to actually move it, or move them from the data source, and refresh. So let's so we need to have a function to switch the rows. Notice that rearranging, or the support for rearranging the table view, it gives you the table view, and it gives you an index path that the user is moving from, and an index path that the user is moving to. So we have two indices, one to move from and one to move to. So we need to set that operation in the data source, and we'll create another function. We can call it move contact or switch contacts, whatever you want to call it. And the first one will be the from index, and this will be integer. And the second one is the to index, and this will be an integer. And we might provide labels here so that the user will know what we are, or from index and to index. And I have I think I can't have it to be the same name. Maybe we can title it from contact to contact. from contact index to contact index. This label is what will appear to the user when they try to use that function. So I just wanted to make it understandable. So the first step that we do here is to retrieve the contact that will be moved from. So we'll say let contact from, or from contact equal contacts dot object at index, and then we retrieve the from contact index from index as contact, and then get the other one to contact object at index to index as contact. So now I have both of them. The next step is to replace the objects in the array, the contacts in the array. So in the contacts array, the mutable array, we have a function called replace object at index, or and replace object at index. This is remove. Replace object at index. It asks for the index that you want to put something at, and then the object you want to insert at that particular index. So I will start first by replacing the from and or the two. I already retrieved both contacts, so I don't have to worry about any of them being lost. I retrieved both of them first so that the replace does not remove them completely. So first I'll say from index. So I'm replacing the object at the from index, the index that the user is moving from. So I replaced that with the to contact. Then the next step is to do the same, replace object at index, this time the to index with the from contact. So now the move contacts replaces both of them. So I go back to the address book and, oops, that's not good. So Xcode crashed in the middle of the taping. Sorry about that. Just gonna take a moment to open. And it loads our project. It should load us to where we were. So we missed the, we'll repeat that again. So replace object at index. So we'll first replace the from contact with the to from index. This needs to be an index with the to contact. And then I'll save by pressing Command S, and then replace an object again. We'll replace the to index with the from contact and save again. So we'll run. And we'll add some test contacts. Add 2 of them and see that we can move them around. So we'll add test, and I'll just use a test here. And then edit. Now you see, because we have the can move enabled, so you see that icon, and you can move the two items, and it is replaced in the data source. You can see it did not replace correctly in the data source, because we need to reload. Oh, I don't think I called it. Yes, I didn't call the move yet. So see, what happened is, even though you saw that the actual moved, but in the data source it didn't move, because the table view move row at index path function, but it did not call the function on the data source. So I'll say data source dot move contacts, and the from will use the from index path dot row, and in the to we'll say to index path dot row, and then run again. Because the contacts are not saved in a file, every time you run you have to add the contacts again, and that's what we will hopefully after the next iteration this will be fixed. Testing is very important. It is by testing that we discovered that we forgot to call the move contacts on the data source from the move row at index path. So now that we test, this first contact is at index 0, this is at 1. Let's move them. And if they moved correctly in the data source, the indices will change in the data source. So now we see the correct one at the different location. And you can move them back, and they move with you. So every time you move, you are moving in the table view what the user sees. You're also moving in the data source, which is behind the scene. So that's complete this iteration 5, rearranging and deleting contacts. And in the next iteration, we'll save contacts to a file so that they persist between the app. Thank you.